This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Joining us today is Robbie McRae, the CEO of Caracal Gold, following news from the company on the financing that the company was undertaking along with OSIM. But unfortunately, the news today saying that prepaid gold purchase agreement will not be proceeding. So, Robbie, first of all, this is obviously quite disappointing for shareholders and no doubt for you as well and people at Caracal Gold. So, if I can just perhaps first of all, just get your response to this and your reaction.
Yeah, disappointed and frustrated all at the same time. We worked very hard with OSIM from May of last year to get the financing in place, and to stumble right at the last point is very frustrating for me. I understand the reasoning behind it, but it is frustrating, and it's I'm sure our shareholders and stakeholders feel the same way.
I mean, could you elaborate a little bit more on perhaps the reasons behind it? Because I do recall last time that we spoke, I think I mentioned about any last remaining risks that might be in place, and you were fairly confident that everything was proceeding okay and there wouldn't be too many hiccups. It can never be guaranteed for sure in these situations, but you're able to elaborate a little bit more on perhaps the reason why and why you were so confident, and unfortunately it's not actually been possible.
Yeah, this is not the first financing deal that we've done as a group, as Caracal it is, but as a group we've been involved in many financings in the mining industry, and there's always conditions precedent which have to be met from the borrower that the seller will put in place. The conditions precedent put in place by OSIM we believed were achievable, and we knocked all of them on the head except for one, and the final condition precedent was that there was a request that the Kenyan government sign off and give OSIM permission to have security over the mining license at Kilimapesa. And Kenyan mining law doesn't provide for that. And that condition precedent was very late to the table. It was only put on the table around the 16th of December. And it was a very bad time of the year for us to engage and find a workable solution with the Kenyan government at that stage. The Kenyan government was very supportive. They wanted to sit down around the table and discuss, but the time of the year wasn't conducive. And unfortunately, I don't know if it was deal fatigue or what happened, but OSIM then decided that they didn't want to extend the long stop date, that they'd rather walk away from the transaction because we couldn't complete the final condition precedent. So, yeah, frustrating, disappointing, and I understand OSIM's side, and they quite within their rights, and they did what was best for them. So at that time, they've obviously made the decision based on the decision that they've made as a group and as a team. I'm sure they're also disappointed. They spent a long time working on this transaction with us, so I'm sure they're also disappointed.
Okay, well, thank you for explaining that. So that's actually makes it clear that it's very difficult to move that condition because it's actually in Kenyan law, and you were engaging with the Kenyan government, but unfortunately the wrong time of year, it just made it a little bit too tricky. So it's not like it was something that could have been mitigated, really. This was really almost something that was a little bit out of your control.
Yeah, absolutely. We met all the other conditions precedent around the technical side, around the legal side, and around the financial side. In these transactions, it's completely normal. The borrower takes security wherever they can to make sure that they're as well secured in the case of a default. And Kenya is not a well-established mining country, and there's not a lot of mining transactions that have happened. Base Titanium and us are kind of the pioneers. We listed producers in Kenya, and I firmly believe had it been another time of the year, we would have been able to engage with OSIM's Kenyan council, with our Kenyan council, and with council from the ministry, and between the three of them, they would have found a workable solution.
Okay, but it was actually OSIM's decision not to proceed, not to delay any further.
Yeah, there was a long stop date of the 31st of December. The long stop date, I know a few people have been asking, Why didn't we announce earlier? Well, the fact of we didn't know earlier. The 31st was New Year's Eve. It fell over a weekend. There were then public holidays and all sorts of things. We wrote to OSIM. We asked for an update, and once we were informed they weren't extending the long stop date by the attorney. We asked OSIM to confirm that was the case. They confirmed, and we announced. So there was no, it was all done, all done according to what we had to do.
Okay. Well, thank you for clearing that up, particularly with regards to the timing there as well, because I know that was some concerns of shareholders on if this was announced in a timely manner, but you've explained there that it was. I wonder if you can elaborate a little bit more on the current situation finance-wise, that the 3 million, how far will the £3 million that you have already take you when you consider other expenditures and liabilities? Are we talking here potential delays now to the mine expansion plans, or what's the situation with financing? And of course, finding a new partner, as was mentioned in the RNS.
We're working on that now, Mark. We're working very closely with Flora and presenting them a reconfigured plan on how we keep the project on track as much as possible. And it's $3 million that we'll be drawing down from Flora. So I'm sitting in the office with Rian still at the moment, and we're working on that plan. We'll be putting that plan in front of Flora tonight or tomorrow, and then we'll think with the plan and make sure that the impact on the project is minimized, and that we do as much as we can with those funds. We then obviously have to identify a replacement to come in for the OSIM funding, and it may be a single. It may be two who come in and come in and replace those funds. We definitely believe going down the prepaid gold route or a royalty or / streaming route is the right way to go. So non-dilutive for our shareholders. And we've got a lot of interest. We were talking to 3 people previously before we went exclusive with OSIM. All 3 of them have been in contact with us and have put their hand up and said they would like to relook at the project. And we're speaking to another 3 or 4 parties as well who've have got interest. There's a lot of the fact that we managed to progress the transaction as far as you did with OSIM, when we got down and it finally didn't proceed because of a legal technicality, is good. I mean, it's the project technically, financially, and legally stacks up. So We'll work hard with these potential financiers. We'll select the right partner or the right group of partners to proceed with. On all of these things, you have to have a data room, and you have to have information that has to be reviewed. And I mean, our stuff is hot off the press. We've just come off a very detailed due diligence process with OSIM and Flora, where we've had consultants on site, consultants through our database, the legals, the financials. So, all of that information is current, and it'll be easy for incoming partners to review. But that being said, these things still take time. All these lenders have a process, so we have to sit and go through the process. So the first thing is to identify and get a few people interested. It would then be moved to getting revised term sheets on the table or revised offers on the table. We then have to select the offer or offers which best suit us and are best for our shareholders and stakeholders. And then we have to go through the same process. We have to sign up those offers, go through the due diligence process, go through the legal documentation process, finalize that legal documentation process, and then draw the funds down. So that's going to take some time. We've learned a lot of lessons as a team from the process that we've been through with OSIM and Flora. So it's not lost. And we'll do things better this time as well from our side, and make sure. But I'm very confident that we'll get the funding in. And we've got good partners like Flora who are working alongside us to make sure that we don't lose too much time on the project.
Good. Well, it is good to hear, of course. You mentioned there about the due diligence done by OSIM. That is very important. And they were obviously very happy with what they were seeing. And it was a significant transaction for them. So that should give some confidence that the project, has credibility for financing or offtake partners to come in and partner with you. Just on some of the other interest then, I mean, are we talking it's going to be a number of months, do you think, before that's going to be settled? What's the plans in the very near term? I mean, both for activities on the ground while you're waiting to secure this finance, but also, how discussions would progress, do you think?
I don't believe you can put a financing like this together in less than 3 months, Mark.
Okay.
So, we have to find a workable plan with the money that we have in the bank and with the potential money coming with the money that we've secured from Flora. But we need to show Flora what we're going to do with that $3 million. There was a very specific plan that was in place with the Flora money. It was coming in alongside the OSIM money on the project execution. And with this revised plan that we're working on now will be presented to Flora. Flora approve it, allow us to draw down the funds, and then we apply those funds. And then we work very hard for a minimum of the next 3 months to secure the additional funding that we need to complete the project. It won't be shorter than 3 months.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. I think you've been clear on the timelines there. Just thinking on some of the other things, timelines and things that we're expecting from the company. Is there any update on some of the production figures, that Q3 report, and also the prospectus, I think, that people are waiting to see as well?
Sure. The Q3 report, it's as I said earlier on in one of the other conversations that I had, that's on my head. I was so absorbed in the financing and so focused on the financing that I allowed the Q3 report to slip through my fingers. I've got it on my computer. I'll be reviewing it, and it will be going out in the next couple of days. There's a nice presentation to go along with it for the first time. So we're starting to get our house in order, like some of the other companies, like Shanta, where the announcement goes out and there's a nice presentation to go alongside it. So people will see that, and we've pushed the button, and we're getting close to finalising the Q4 numbers as well. So those will go out before the end of the month, which is on time. And I'll just tell the shareholders it won't happen again. We won't let something like this slip through the system again. On the prospectus, we are targeting the end of February for the prospectus to go out. Obviously, we published our audited financials. They came out in mid-November, and then the finance team turned their attention with the lawyers to getting the prospectus done. And the end of Feb is the target for the prospectus.
And does the announcement today, Robbie, how does that affect the summer loans which were due for payback, as well as the deferred payments? For example, the money owed to Tayax.
I mean, we work very closely with Tayax. We work very closely with the people who provided us with financing in the past. Everybody's fully informed. Everyone's obviously frustrated and disappointed with what's happened with OSIM, but they understand and they recognize the hard work that we've done. So everything within Tanzania, everything on the Tayax acquisition remains in place, and any payments that were outstanding to other financiers, etc., which would have been paid back or that will be converted once the prospectus are done, we're still very much on track with that. So there's no harm that will be done to the company. We talk to everybody every day and keep everybody informed, like we should do.
Okay, excellent. And just in terms of the day-to-day production and the operations going on at the mine, Robbie, are they continuing, or are we talking here potentially delays for you getting to that target of 2,000 ounces per month?
Yeah, I mean, we need the money to complete the expansion. We came out obviously with the delay in the financing, and during our interview a couple of weeks ago, we announced that we were going to be delayed. I hope with the fact that we've got the Flora financing and we will be drawing that down, that though any further delays will be minimized. But I need to work with Rian and the team, and we need to get the Flora money drawn down, and then we'll be able to come out and tell the market if there are going to be any more delays or not.
Okay. But there is ongoing production and ongoing incoming revenue, which must mitigate some of the financial concerns of the company, perhaps?
It does. I mean, we were able to. We were operating. We're paying salaries. We're keeping things going. But it's a small mine market. The production from Kilimapesa doesn't cover the expansion costs. And that's the key, is we have to have the funding to expand to fund the expansion costs.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Robbie. Just as a final thought, if I can, just thinking on just looking forward until the next sort of round of financing, if you like, is found and secured and the due diligence is gone through. What are your plans to really keep shareholders informed and keep the comms up to date with things that are going on with the company and how the path towards getting another financing partner is going? Because I think communications in this environment, certainly when there's been a bit of a disappointing news like this, is quite important for shareholders. So I wonder if you can give us a bit of an idea of how you will be reassuring shareholders and ultimately working to getting the ambition that you want with Kilima Pesa.
We learned a lot during 2022 with how we should communicate and constant news flow and how we should be doing. We've taken all of that on board, and we've over this period, over the December period when it was quieter, we put together a lot of plans around news flow, sites from updates, how the technical teams on site will work closely with the PR people and our marketing people in the office in Nairobi, so that we're getting constant updates out. And so there's a lot of improvement that will come from that side. We've got a calendar up on the wall, so we know when we, for instance, on quarterly reports, so we start preparing the quarterly report well in advance, and we have it out on time. And yeah, absolutely. So we'll improve on all of those basic things on communication, getting stuff out to the market. And yes, of course, we'll anything that we can announce on the financing, any progress that we're making that we can announce on the financing, we'll keep the market informed at every step. We know how important it is. We know how we've got to keep our shareholders and stakeholders informed. So anything that we can announce, obviously we will. And we'll do the best that we can to keep the market informed as best as we can.
Excellent. Okay. Well, I hope to be talking to you then on a semi-regular basis, either to do with the financing, but of course with some of the updates, some of the quarterly reports coming out from Caracal, or indeed some of the exploration that's currently going on as well, or any other developments in the company. So I look forward to hopefully catching up with you in the not too distant future, Robbie.
Good stuff.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stopboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.